Hello, and today we'll be playing the newest update of Temptations Ballad. Market District, secluded warehouse. Agatha stumbled through the dark stone corridors of Walden Red's alley on sore foot. On sore feet, her body exhausted. She let out a breath of relief as she finally caught sight of the city proper. The sharp, biting scent of ozone lingered in her nose. The collapsed fighting ring faded behind her as she fled home. Her little operation did not go as smoothly as she hoped, but at least she got what she came for. The old bat spilled through the door of her dingy apartment and threw off her hood. Reaching into her cloak, Agatha smiled as she gingerly pulled out her prize, a single scarlet ruby. The jewel felt warm against her skin, pulsing rhythmically as though with a heartbeat of its own. So this is one of those demonic rubies that Roderick procured. She had hoped to snag all of them from that atrocious black market, but she didn't anticipate the creator chosen of all people to show up. Her presence had certainly thrown a wrench in her plans. Still, 1 out of 4 was better than none at all. Agatha rolled the ruby in her palm gently as she studied her reflection in its scarlet facets. With a demonic entity at her disposal, she could finally give Roderick the retribution she deserved. Years of sleepless nights toiling in her lab, pouring her heart and soul into making her dream a reality to finally fill this gnawing emptiness in her chest. The dream to hold her daughter's hand, wiped away in an instant by that vain man's ambitions. Agatha's grip around the ruby tightened. Finally, justice was within reach. The flesh of her palm suddenly seared into a painful white flash. Agatha yelped, hastily dropping the ruby. The jewel clattered across the floor with a hiss. Moments later, blinding blood-red light filled the room before Agatha was unceremoniously thrown off her feet. She groaned and clutched her head weakly. The old bed blinked through the scarlet haze. Her heart leaped to her throat. Her own face stared back at her, curiosity and amusement twinkling through black sclera. Except the face wasn't hers. It looked older and ancient. Unblinking, scarlet arises pierced her mind and peered inside, picking apart her every thought like an open book. My, what do we have here? A childless mother and a broken promise. The anger, the indignation. You seek retribution for the betrayal of your life's work. The demon's voice rumbled with amusement. With an interesting little puzzle I found myself with. Agatha watched as her own face broke into a gleeful smile with far too many teeth. Tell me, mortal, are you worthy of my envy? Huh? Agatha jolted awake with a start. She sat up abruptly from her makeshift desk, blinking wearily through her sleep-addled haze. The warm cloak draped across her shoulders tumbled to the ground of the dingy warehouse. She didn't remember bringing her cloak with her. You're awake. Agatha jumped. She rolled around to see a familiar small bat staring back at her, nonchalantly gnawing on a loaf of cheesy bread. Was that her lunch? Agatha peered at her now empty food basket in bemusement. I forget how boring mortals are when they're asleep. How can you just lie there doing nothing for so long? Seems like an awful waste of time when you have limited days on this earth. Agatha groaned and her eyes. Agatha groaned and rubbed her eyes. Life sucks ass. Being awake for long periods of time is terrible for one's health. That's why we practice being dead for 8 hours a night. Zello squinted suspiciously. At least Agatha thought she did. It was hard to tell beneath the child's unkempt hair. That doesn't sound right. Who's a mortal expert here? In my experience, sleepless mortals tend to die sooner. Exactly, too much time spent living is bad for you. I guess this is Zelos here. That's why you should leave me alone so I can catch some beauty sleep. For once, the little bat huffed indignantly. She grabbed Agatha's cloak off the dusty floor and tossed it over the old enchanter's head. Trust me, you're not that interesting when you're asleep. And you snore. I'd rather be sampling all the food stalls at the festival right now, but someone insisted I stay here in this boring-ass warehouse. My wallet is still recovering from that time you impersonated me and bought 50 pounds of sweets. Regardless, the city walks and church nights are swarming the streets after your little stunt yesterday. You best behave and keep a low profile. Zello scoffed and crossed her arms. Excuse me? I am zealous of faceless. I'm 8 centuries old and I have the best shape-shifting abilities of all my siblings. No church night with our feeble divine sense is going to pick me out of a crowd. Didn't the Bonebreaker boy trick you into revealing yourself yesterday? That's different. He had my little brother's help. I'm pretty sure sending a child down the street with an armful of fake bombs didn't require demonic intervention. Whatever, I still want to fight. He got chopped into giblets. That doesn't count either. The little brat had backup. So the great envy demon can defeat one mortal with no problems, but 2 mortals are clearly too much for her. You're being a dick. You're being a child. Sit down and behave for just one day. I'm begging you. The little demon crossed her arms and plopped down on a nearby crate with a huff, her wings fluttering restlessly behind her. Agatha grimaced. Speak of behaving, can't you say shift into literally any other body? What's wrong with this one? The envy demon flashed a toothy grin as though to taunt her. This is who you wanted to be. This is who you wanted to see, isn't it? Rosie, the enchanter siphoned. She glared down and busied herself with the paperwork on her desk, refusing to give the demon the satisfaction of watching her squirm. Rosie isn't real. And yet I can see her so clearly in your mind. Your precious little would-be daughter. You spent an awfully long time thinking about her, imagining every little detail, what she grew up to be like, her hobbies, the way she'd skip around your lap while you tried to wrangle the little ankle biter. The demon sneered. I must say I've grown rather fond of this face. It's comfy. What a self-indulgent imagination you have, enchanter. Ow! Let go. Agatha sighed as she yanked the young bat around by the ears. You know, I imagine she'd be a lot more polite. Zelos wiggled out of her grip when it didn't hiss. Well, you know, children tend to disappoint. You're doing a stellar job in that department. Can't you just say something to that cloak form you used yesterday? Well, I'd love to, but I also want to eat snacks. And this form doesn't have a fucking mouth. You're a demon. You don't need to eat. Listen, old bag. I came to the material realm to have a good time, and that includes snacking as much as I damn please. Agatha rubbed her temples with a sigh. Then just create your own face. You don't need to keep borrowing from the rest of us. The little demon whistled before spitting out a bitter laugh. Her brow twisted into a loathing sneer as she idly kicked at the dirt beneath her feet. For a brief moment, the childlike tone of her voice whilst away to unearth the ancient creature underneath. You're asking envy to create a face she is content with. I didn't think you were capable of such cruelty. Agatha quietly stared at the sulking figure of her imagined daughter. The demon glared back at her, her hackles rising in bitter defiance. Oh, don't look at me like that. I know you've been wishing that you grabbed literally any of the other rubies. Like it or not, you're stuck with me. Is that such a bad thing? It appeared to all my siblings that is that even a question? The demon cackled, her voice heavy with loathing. There's wisdom in fear. There's strength in rage, and there is joy in temptation. But envy is ugly, petty. It is seeing your missing pieces in every person you meet. It is knowing that there is nothing here but an empty pit that will never be filled and masked with nothing behind it. So you tell me, mortal, is it really such a bad thing? Are you truly envious of everyone you meet? Isn't it obvious? It's in the fucking name. Agatha smiled softly. Even me? Agatha watched in contemplative silence as a younger bat seed. She was unsure what compelled her, but her hand suddenly reached out and patted the distressed child's head, Zealous foes, to see something of worth in everyone. I suppose there is a kind of beauty in that. Zealous was silent. That's a nice thought, but it doesn't change why I am. Agatha adjusted her glasses thoughtfully. Can demons learn and grow the way mortal children can? The little bat scoffed and crossed her arms. Have you forgotten how old I am? I have lived multitudes of your lifetimes. What is left for me to learn? I like to think that there is always something to learn, so long as you're alive. Are demons truly so unchanging? We don't exactly perceive time the way you do. We do not age nor grow. We simply are. That sounds like a rather dreadful way to live. What do you have to look forward to? The point of life is to experience the world and grow from it. At least that is what I believe. The little bat, rolled her eyes as she lounged back in her seat on the table. I won't be lectured by a creature that will wither and die like a freshly plucked flower. If it is possible for demons to change, I certainly won't learn it from you. In dismissive her, she hopped off the table and with a beat of her wings, soared over the rows of crystal towers in the warehouse. Agatha grimaced as the demon landed atop one of them, the crystal teetering precariously under her weight. Be careful with those. I spent the entire night hauling them back to the warehouse. Didn't you spend the entirety of yesterday setting them up in the festival streets? Yes. During your little stunt yesterday, the bonebreaker brat tried to sound the alarm with these crystals. You know, after you hijacked all of them. The city once was not pleased to learn they invested a sizable sum into a security system that didn't work. So they sent all my towers back to their warehouse, this warehouse, to be recalibrated. That damn cell was insufferably smud the whole time. It's not my fault your crystal doohickeys were laughably easy to overtake. Agatha sighed and rubbed her temples tightly. No matter. I need to double check everything before tomorrow's attack. Anyhow, we'll be mostly recovered by then, yes? Zella smirked and flexed her wings with a casual roll of her shoulders. I think I can handle a brief battle with a washed-up old wizard. Yesterday you were bested by a man armed with some sturdy wire. Walter is no ordinary mage. You will do well to not underestimate him. This is a whole lot of effort to beat up one lousy old man. Why do you hate him so much anyhow? A dark look fell over the older bat's face. Do you know why I became an enchanter? While I spent decades studying life itself as an arcane researcher? Zealous blinked and hesitantly brushed a hand over her own face. the child you could never have. Agatha stared at the face of Rosie for several moments before squeezing her eyes closed. You asked me once why mortals bother living such brief and feeble lives. Everyone has a different answer, but for me, I wanted to bring life into the world, a family, to hold my daughter's hand, to watch her learn and grow, to live. And when a day comes where I meet my maker, I can rest easy knowing that I've imparted a piece of myself to someone I love after I'm gone. And if I'm lucky, change her life for the better. A brief pause passed between them as Agatha pressed a hesitant hand over her stomach. Unfortunately, my body had other plans. Every miscarriage and passing year felt like another grain of sand slipping from my fingers. I grew desperate, burned bridges and frightened loved ones. And in the end, I was left alone as a childless crone. That's when he approached me. Roderick. We were long-time colleagues in the arcane research field. I dare say we were old friends, or as close of a friend as I was capable of being. His wife was dying, and they were both barren and wished for a child of their own, probably for the purpose of heir apparency for the Axian throne. He never struck me as much of a loving father. But Roger offered me nearly unlimited funding and resources for my efforts to create a child through arcane means. A real child born from two parents who could learn and grow. A bitter sneer fell across Agatha's face. I did it. I succeeded. Years of toiling, research, and countless resources spent, and I finally brought two potential lives into the world. And do you know what happened? Roger snatched my life's work and bastardized it, defiled it, for whatever egotistical scheme he had concocted. The quill in her hand snapped under her grip. I don't care what it takes. I will see that man and all he holds dear destroyed. Perhaps then I can rest easy. Zealous peered at her quietly. You said your life's dream was to bring your daughter into the world, didn't you? Why not do that instead of dedicating so much for a man you hate? Agatha laughed softly. I said I wanted to be a mother who could raise her child with the love and warmth she deserves. Look at me, Zealous. I am a bitter and vengeful woman. What is left of me besides this fury and indignation? What kind of worthwhile life could I give this child? I will not curse her with her mother like me. I don't know. I mean, you're still a batty old hag, but you got a few redeeming qualities. The enchanter was taken aback for a moment before cackling humorously. Surely, a fleeting glimpse of worth only envy can find. I didn't realize you were such an optimist. I'm afraid I'm in too deep to turn back now. Tomorrow I will dedicate my all to destroying everything Roderick holds dear, and die trying. Rosie's face blinked and frowned. Die trying. There was no question. A certainty. Roderick is a formidable foe. I don't intend to survive the day. Mortals are supposed to value their lives, aren't they? The edge of Agatha's lips tugged upwards slightly. Is that a hint of concern I hear, Zealous? Don't flatter yourself. I've seen thousands of mortals drop like flies across the centuries. Your methods simply baffle me. That's all. Really? I always thought I was pretty straightforward. Humiliate and destroy the man who took everything from me. That's all there is. Speaking of which, Agatha rummaged inside her desk. After a moment, she gingerly pulled out a small black obsidian crown. Zealous's brow raised as he leaned forward, prodding the jeweller's crown curiously. This looks similar to the crown that my siblings and I were encased in. But it feels different somehow. I hope so. I made this one myself. If Roger is going to bastardize my life's work, it's only fair that I get to steal some of his designs. What's it supposed to do exactly? This crown was designed to drag the subconscious of its wearer's mind to the surface. Buried memories and implanted mental constructs from what I can gather. Makes sense considering what the man had planned for my creations. I gather a trace of figure against the crown's sharp edges with a determined glare. I created one of my own and repurposed it for tomorrow's battle. If we understand a chance against Roderick, we will need to even the playing field. Speaking of which, the crystal ball on the enchanter's desk suddenly flashed a soft warning. I created one of my own and will repurpose it for tomorrow's battle. If we understand a chance against Roderick, we will need to even the playing field. Speaking of which, the crystal ball on the enchanter's desk suddenly flashed a soft warning glow. Someone had tripped one of her squatting wards. The bat pressed her palm against the glass and peered into its reflections. The fog swirled within for several moments before clearing. The sole images of Autumn Gantier and her little merry band huddling outside the gates of the 14th laboratory. Curiosity has baited our quarry to a snare. Let's see how she fares, shall we? Magistrate District, 14th Laboratory Exterior. Cole squinted at the ruined building before them with a raised brow. I guess now we know why the lab was shut down. A deep crater carved deep into the white, sterile walls of the 14th laboratory, cutting through the building's multiple stories like a layered cake. A strange sense of foreboding hung in the air as the group approached the tattered gates of this abandoned institution. Incredible. What do you think happened here? A magical accident of some sort? A battle, Razor. The destruction is contained in a perfectly circular explosion, and the size of the building had been reclaimed slightly by the local vegetation, but not a single weed has sprouted within the blast radius. Necrotic magic. If I were to hazard a guess, a powerful wizard cast Circle of Death here. If a big battle happened here, there's gotta be a record of some sort, right? Ever eager to be useful, Calder stepped forward and flourished his hand through his hair dramatically. Carl idly wondered how the hyena would react if he saved it all. I'll have you know that during my arcane safety curriculum, I studied all the major magical incidents that occurred throughout Axia's recent history. A large-scale attack would have been reported in the local papers at the very least, but I have seen no such records. You sure you didn't just forget? Carter scoffed and brushed his hair with a huff. He's been doing that a lot, Cole mused. A stress tick or just plain vanity, it was hard to say. Let me assure you, I am quite confident in my studies. Household Sanity's education regimen assures that each of its heirs. So this incident was suppressed for the news. It made his eyes trace over the exposed interior of the building while doing her utmost to avoid contact with a spluttering and indignant Calder. Tell me, old Sanity, do your studies describe what this laboratory was used for? Well, it was mostly research for the royal family. Its subjects include life energy and other health-related magics. Famously, this was the facility where King Roderick spearheaded research for a cure to Queen Tabitha's racing disease. I believe they also lent their facilities to the church to research celestial magic. Now that sounds like it could cause a big explosion. Indeed, quite a mystery we stumbled upon. Ormby stepped up to the gate of the laboratory with grim determination. We should conduct our investigation with caution. If we split into two groups, we can start from the basement and upmost stairs and upmost floors and meet somewhere in the middle. Before Artemis could cross the front gates, Cole seized her by the waist. Stop. Don't move. Don't touch anything. What's the matter? This building. It looks abandoned, but it's warded like a fortress. Arcane light flooded Cole's eyes as he peered across the laboratory's facade. There are traps and protection spells everywhere. Here, there's a massive glyph under our feet right now, and there are more covering every inch of the perimeter. Luckily, everything looks inactive, but let's not do anything stupid that might trigger it. Cole turned his gaze downward, his brow furrowed in concentration. And there's a very powerful anti-scrying ward in the basement. I can't see through it at all. Somebody wants to hide something in this lab, and they're serious about it. Cole glanced up and rubbed his eyes. Hey, nerd. What? Are you referring to me? Who else could I be talking about? Focus up. You mentioned that the church used this place, too, right? What for? Oh, well, I'm not quite sure. The records never specified anything other than studies into celestial magic of some sort. Cole frowned as he leaned forward, trying to get a better view through watery eyes. Sounds about right. There's some sort of celestial thing inside the building. Scratch that. Multiple things. Pieces of things. I'm not sure what they are. I can't see them clearly, but beside him ought to be let out several. I think I can feel it too, through my divine sense. I can't quite place why, but it feels sickening. Well, that's unsettling. Is it dangerous? Cole rolled his watery eyes and shrugged. No clue. Autumn radiates celestial magic too, but her magic feels different, like a big cloud of static. Very prickly, like a little thunderstorm, but overall not that strange. Whatever's inside this lab, though, it feels, how do I put it, otherworldly, rotten. He jumped as Noodle slithered up his shoulder and let out a disgusted hiss. That hint, it stinks even worse than a signing mortal. Absolutely foul, like meat that's been left too long in the sun. Whatever you fools intend to do, make it quick. I can scarcely tolerate this stench. The little python gagged and quickly retreated back into Cole's pocket. Maeve raised an eyebrow. Was that your familiar? I wasn't aware snakes were sensitive to celestial energies. Well, he's a noodle of many talents. I can concur. His master may be a menace, but Sir Noodle has a history of great advice and good taste in snacks. Strange for a novice bard to have a magical familiar. Where did you find it? Said Cutting quickly. I'm sure we can chat about Cole's pet wheeling methods later. Right now, let's focus on the big, ominous building in front of us. The druid's eyes narrowed, but she did not press any further. So what's the plan? Is it safe to go inside with whatever weird creature is in there? Cole rolled his sore eyes, blinking against the strain as peered inside the laboratory again. We should be okay if we tread carefully. I'll lead from the front and point out any traps that are in our way. The hyena pointed towards the ground before sheepishly realizing the others couldn't see through the dirt. The anti-scrying magic seemed to be focused mainly in the lab's basement. I bet that's where the information for the anti-mimetic spell is stored. Let's make our way there in one group in case we're attacked or set anything off. Afterwards, if it looks safe, we can investigate the rest of the building. Sound like a plan? An agreeable approach. Lead the way. Cole glanced at the druid warily before stepping forward and pushing open the front gates. Immediately he felt the air reverberate as though something old was shaken and loose. The hyena sniffed noting the faint metallic scent of ozone. Did you set off a trap already? Well, no. At least, I don't think so. Nothing seems to be exploding in our faces yet. It might have been a silent alarm of some sort. Cole rolled around to see a sudden flash of white mist. Prince Cassius abruptly collapsed in front of their group, panting with his hands on his knees as though he had just won a marathon. What are you all doing here in my father's laboratory? Oh, now you want to talk. This place is strictly forbidden and dangerous. You shouldn't be anywhere near here. It took a moment for the others to comprehend that the Prince of Axia had just dropped out of the sky at their feet. Autumn immediately scrambled to one knee, and panic mixed between bow and salute. Carter let out a surprised squeal unfit for a grown man, while Sid gave the prince a silent little wave. Maeve, much to Cole's disappointment, approached the prince without so much as batting an eye. With all due respect, your highness, we're in dire need of answers. When you refuse an audience with us, we naturally look elsewhere. Well, can't you look anywhere else? This laboratory is such an awful place. You will have a terrible time, I assure you. So you've been here before? Cassius let out a squawk and covered his beak. Well, technically, it's a research center for the royal family. Of course I've been here. The prince sought Cole a pointed look. I really don't see why you, of all people, would pry into this place for answers. You've been here yourself. No. Cassius's feathers puffed up in frustration. Well, of course you have. We both have. Enchanter Stoker didn't make you a very good liar, didn't she? Cole frowned. The prince seemed awfully worked up about this. I'm not sure what conspiracy you cooked up in your head. Yesterday was the first time I've even met the old bat. The only reason we're here is because she mentioned the royal family was hiding something salient in this lab. Cassius let out an exasperated huff. What do you mean you've never met her before yesterday? Where did you come from then? Well, you see, when a man and a woman love each other very much. Don't patronize me. Autumn suddenly perked up with a curious gleam in her eye. Actually, I'm rather curious myself. You are obviously Sir Morrow's son, but who was your mother, Cole? She let out a gasp. Have we uncovered a scandal of some sort? Is Enchanting Agatha your secret birth mother? Cole stared at her, deadpan. Do you look like a fucking bat to you? Gantier, you literally told us yourself that the enchanter suffered from infertility issues, and I'm not sure Maul Bumblewaker is into women. Autumn deflated slightly. I suppose you're right. Apologies for my outburst. I've just encountered similar fascinating scenarios in my reading recently. Sid placed a concerned hand on the knight's shoulder. Audie, these books aren't a good reference for reality. Autumn crossed her arms with a huff. Romance is alive and real, Sir Sid. Do not give in to cynicism and dismiss the possibility outright. See, this is why you agreed to marry Maeve on the spot. That's different. Cole sighed wearily. Unfortunately, romance's Papa and him is tied together by their hips. I don't think there's any real mystery here. They are a lovely couple, but surely there are some traumatic details to uncover. For instance, who is your birth mother, Cole? I cannot imagine Sir Morrow courting anyone else. He loves Sir Hamlet so deeply. Are we seriously gossiping about my papa in the middle of an abandoned lab? I'd quite like to know as well. That one-eyed brute has left quite a scandalous trail of rumors in his wake. You are his son, surely you know fact from fiction. Cole frowned as he gnawed on his lip. I never liked thinking about this sort of thing, and Papa never liked talking about it, so I never pressed him. Why ever not? Honestly, until recently, I always thought Papa had just hooked up with some whore and I popped out afterwards. That's not very romantic. Orderby blinked and saw him a curious look. Until recently, Cole grimaced, his stomach breathing uncomfortably. Well, I've been kind of a shithead. That's no great mystery, Cole. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't really care much about the whole thing because Papa's my father. I'm the son of Marble Bonebreaker. That's all that mattered. I didn't care who he was with, whether it was Hammers or some random woman he sat up with, because he's the greatest warrior in the land, and who else can really measure up to that? But now, Cole bit his lip as the images from Hammers' memory flickered in his mind. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like something he'd do. Orderby's ears perked up with excitement. Oh, perhaps you are like me. Her Excellency was wed to no man, yet the Creator blessed her with a child. Everyone glanced at the night awkwardly. Even if we go with the Immaculate Conception angle, I don't think Papa Hammers have the right equipment for it. And I cannot imagine the church would react well to the idea. And the bishop was probably lying through her teeth, but Cole decided to keep that tidbit to himself. Diana glanced up and was startled to see Prince Cassius staring at him with a conflicted mix of confusion and indignation. Are you really not? Cole let out a frustrated sigh and waved his hand dismissively. Can we move on yet? I don't see how my papa's love life has anything to do with this fucked up lab here. Cassius suddenly shook himself out of his stupor, his tail feathers puffing up defensively. I don't suppose I can convince you to keep your nose out of this. I mean, have you reconsidered my little request from earlier? If you agree to talk to the bishop, I might. There was a split second where the peacock seemed to ponder Cole's proposal. Orderby suddenly stepped forward with a determined glare. No, I beg your pardon? Orderby, I appreciate your concern, Cole, but I will not allow my own trifles get in the way of our investigation. Trifle? This is your life we're talking about, and I shall do with it as I please. So no, we will not give up our efforts in return for a stern word with Her Excellency. I will not allow it. Cole wanted to argue, but one firm glare from Orderby snapped his jaw shut. I won't watch you walk to your death because of some high and mighty sense of duty. Orderby saw him a wide smile. Then don't. Succeed. Find what we are looking for. We will go home to Miss Strikewood's for a celebratory dinner. Cole ignored the little needles of guilt breathing in his stomach and forced out a smile. He turned back towards Prince Cassius. Well, you heard the chosen one. We're breaking into your fancy lab. I could order you to stop, The royal family, the royal... Then don't. Succeed. Orderby saw him a wide smile. Then don't. Succeed. Orderby saw him a wide smile. Then don't. Succeed. Find what we're looking for, and we'll go home to Mrs. Strikewood's for a celebratory dinner. Cole ignored the little needles of guilt breathing in his stomach and forced out a smile. He turned back towards Prince Cassius. Well, you're the chosen one. We're breaking into your fancy lab. I could order you to stop, The Royal Army is at my beck and call. They could throw you in prison for disobedience. You certainly could. But will you? I can see the model's papers already. Prince Cassius arrests investigators outside Royal Lab. What secrets is he hiding? Cassius wrung the edge of his robe nervously. And who ordered the papers silenced as well? Of course, but there's nothing quite as loud as silence. There will be whispers to fill that silence. People will talk. And there is no greater threat to a king than restless people. Maeve stepped forward, her eyes piercing the king, well, the prince actually, like sharp daggers. I don't know, he think he's the king. I mean, since his father's dead, is he really the king now? I don't know, but I guess got like a reason to, maybe he's not ready yet to take the throne, even though his father's dead. Well, at least the public think his father's dead. Anyway, Maeve stepped forward, her eyes piercing the prince like sharp daggers. Or you could save us trouble and explain yourself now. Cassius gazed over the rusted gates towards the foggy facade of the 14th laboratory. The ruined crater of stone stared back, cold and unmoving. A bitter, almost nostalgic look fell across the prince's face. It was the explosion killed me. I beg your pardon? Cassius turned back towards the group with a defeated sigh. I am not a good prince, nor a good son, or a good anything really. But my father, the king, chose a purpose for me. If I cannot fulfill even this, then what is left? Artemis' eyes softened. She stepped forward, her voice gentle. Do you follow this purpose because you truly believe in it, or simply because it was given to you? Cassius bristled. How will I know what to believe in if I've never known anything else? Artemis reached out and took the prince's hand, giving it a comforting squeeze. Cassius stared at the touch as though he wasn't sure what to make of it. I understand the feeling. It is frightening to lose a tether that has kept you grounded your whole life, but it can be freeing too. I think instead of blindly following our purpose, it is high time we make our own decisions. The prince suddenly looked very small. Artemis' words seemed to have struck a chord as Cassius pondered in silence for several long moments. Cole was right. You really are less scary in person. The peacock squeezed the knight's hand as though marveling at its warmth. His eyes suddenly widened. Wait a moment. You're radiating celestial magic. His feathers puffed up in fright as he stumbled backwards. You must stop at this instant. Huh? I wasn't aware I was doing anything in particular. Cassius glanced frantically about the lab's front gates. It doesn't matter. You must suppress your magical presence immediately. Quick, before you set off any of the lab's defenses. I'm pretty sure Artie does that subconsciously. She's been giving off that celestial smell since I met her. I smell? Cole, why did you never tell me? I thought you knew. Noodle complains about it every time he sees you. Never mind that. This lab was watered to hell and back to keep those things inside. If the wards mistake you for one of them, it will react accordingly. But what should I do? I never had to suppress my own magic before. The group froze. The stone beneath their feet suddenly glowed with an eerie silver light. They exchanged nervous looks as the radiance slowly grew brighter and brighter. It's a glare from earlier. Looks like Artemis' magic activated it. Should we start running or... Bad idea. It looks like it's set to detonate if we step off of it. How did I not notice this earlier? It was completely inert a second ago. Father didn't bother hiding most of the traps since the fragments aren't exactly thinking beings. But a few of the traps were cleverly hidden with anti-scrying spells in case someone tried to smuggle them out. Fascinating. Let's pretend I understood that. Now, how do we get out of this glyph without blowing ourselves up? Cole, what happens if we stay on top of it for too long? Well, you see, it blows up anyway. Father liked playing with his food. This is a guy who you worried about disappointing. Artemis leaned forward with a determined glare, her arm outstretched with arcane lightning crackling at her fingertips. If I focus on my strength into a dispel magic, I may be able to negate it. No, dumbass, you're using the same celestial magic it's designed to detect. It'll just go off faster. Before the words could leave Cole's mouth, the stone beneath their feet rumbled with a blinding light. In a fraction of a second, they could feel the soles of their feet sear as the ground rolled like molten magna. With mere moments before the explosion went off, Cassius whipped out his hand in a panic, his tail feathers gleaming with arcane light. Scatter. As the world disappeared around them, in a flash of white mist, the muffled explosion of the front gates erupting in flames echoed in their ears. Continued. To be continued. I'll let us know. Hello, I'm Cyril Coy, artist and writer for this visual novel. Thank you for playing through Tastes Ballad. I hope you liked it so far. If you're feeling generous and would like to help create me more updates of this visual novel, feel free to support me on Patreon. It really helps me out as an artist and writer and allows me to continue creating content for this visual novel for free. Patreon supporters also receive new updates a month in advance. Click here at my Patreon. My social medias include Twitter and Affinity. If you're interested in my other works, try out my other gay furry visual novel with Pete. Thanks again for playing. Nice. So that was the newest update of Tastes Ballad. So if you remember from earlier videos of Tastes Ballad that I did, I wondered about Cole's mom. Because we didn't hear anything about his mom. We only heard about his dad. His dad, what's his name again? Bonebreaker, Marvel Bonebreaker. We only heard about his dad, Marvel Bonebreaker, and his other dad, I guess adopted dad, Hamas. And based off what what Agatha said, it seems as though both Marvel and Hamas were able to have a child together due to, I guess, Agatha's invention, or she was able to have an invention, or maybe she was able to put together something that allowed people to have children, even though they were either, same-sex relationships or, straight relationships where they had difficulty producing a child. So, and it seems as though that's how Cole was born. Though her invention or whatever does have some side effects, like with Cole being small and frail, because his father, he's very tall, very muscular, and Hammers too. He's not quite as tall as Marvel, but he's still a lot taller and muscular than Cole also. I mean, both of them are taller and muscular than Cole, so for him to be small, and frail, that's kind of the drawback of this thing that Agatha was able to was able to come up with, to have kids, for people to have children. Anyway, so apparently, this magical power from I forgot her name already, but the night her power was igniting something in the laboratory, and it caused it to eventually explode. But it seemed though that Prince Cassius was able to get them all out in time before the explosion. So we'll figure out more about that next time. And Agatha was she was very angry at King Roger because he said that he defiled her creations. So does it mean that he used his? Does it mean he defiled? I mean, the Agatha means that he defiled her creations by, tampering with it to have a child of his own, or I guess that's what he meant. I guess that Roger used her skills or invention to produce an heir of his own. And it looks like Roderick is still alive. I mean, at least she talks about him as if he's still alive. So I guess possibly Roderick is still alive, and he basically faked his own death. Like he's still alive, but the rest of the kingdom thinks he's dead. So we'll just have to wait and see more what happens. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this newest update of Temptations Ballad. And this update also included many episodes. I'm thinking about whether to play these episodes or not. I don't know why this is locked. It's still locked, but this came with the update. But anyway, both of them are like NSFW, so I haven't really played either of them. This one's been out for a while now, but I didn't play it. So maybe I'll play it in the future, maybe not, but not right now. But anyway, so that's all for now. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.